I think running fasted is a mistake. In this video, I talk about why you shouldn't do your long runs fasted, foods to avoid before your long run, and how to properly fuel for your long runs and your half and full marathons. So I hope you enjoy this training. How to fuel for your long runs when training for a marathon. So the way I look at food and nutrition is food is fuel, and that you have to properly fuel for your long runs. Because if not, you're going to have less energy. And if you have less energy, you're just not going to be able to perform as well. And the analogy I like to use is running a marathon is equivalent to you getting in your car and driving across the country. What's the first thing you do when you get in your car? Well, you see how much gasoline is in the car, because if you're out of gas, you may only be able to drive down the road or to a different city before you run out of gas. And it's the same thing with running a marathon or running long distances. If you're running on an empty stomach, well, how far are you able to run? Maybe just a couple miles, but you're not ultimately able to run the 26.2 miles. And so you have to make sure that you fuel properly for your long runs. Because I've worked with a lot of runners, I've talked to a lot of runners who have limiting beliefs and misconceptions about food. Maybe they have lost a bunch of weight or they want to lose weight. And so their natural thought process is, okay, I need to not eat as much food, which makes sense. That's how you lose weight. The issue with that, when it comes to also wanting to run a half marathon or a full marathon, is weight loss and performance goals, they contradict themselves. And nutrition is a lever you pull to achieve one of those goals. And so let's say you want to lose weight. Well, how do you lose weight? You have to eat less. You have to be in a calorie deficit. If you're in a calorie deficit, oftentimes you have less energy. And if you have less energy, well, then you're just not going to be able to perform as well. And then on the flip end, if you want to eat for performance, preferably you are in a calorie surplus. So you're eating more food, you have more energy, you're able to perform better, but you're not going to lose any weight. And if you try to do both, well, you're simply just not going to be able to achieve either one of those goals. There's a saying, if you chase two rabbits, you catch neither one. And if you are the wolf and the rabbit on the left is weight loss and the rabbit on the right is performance, if you try to chase both and you zigzag in between the two rabbits, both of them are going to get away. But if you focus on just one, and in this case, eating for performance, I'm assuming that's why you're watching this video, is how to eat for performance when training, is that you have to focus on the performance rabbit and just disregard the weight loss one and not think about it. And so now that we're going to make sure that we eat for performance, we have to know what to do and what not to do. So here's what you do not want to do when fueling for your long runs. You don't want to run fasted, right? If you haven't eaten in 12 hours, 16 hours, trying to go for a long run and running 10 miles, 15 miles, then you could, one, you're not going to have much energy, but two, you could get hungry. And if you get hungry, then you could lose focus, because rather than focusing on the task at hand and the miles ahead, you start focusing on, okay, what should I eat? You also don't want to eat a big meal right beforehand. You don't want to stop at Denny's and eat 4 eggs, 2 pancakes, some hash browns, and bacon, because you're going to feel tired, sluggish, full, and then trying to run long distances while you feel like that, it's a very uncomfortable feeling. Then you also want to make sure that you're not eating too little. You don't want to just have a banana or some granola before a long run, because you just aren't fueling properly and it's not enough, where you could run out of energy, you could get hungry. And so you also don't want to make sure that you're not eating any fast food. You don't want to stop at McDonald's and eat a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit right before a long run. And then also, you don't want to make sure that you eat a bunch of junk food, maybe stopping at Dunkin' Donuts or Krispy Kreme and eating a half dozen donuts. You don't want to do that either. And lastly, you don't want to have a bunch of processed food either. I understand processed food's convenient, it's easy, it's relatively cheap, but it's also just not good for fueling. And so you don't want to have any of that. So here's what you do want to do. What you do want to do is you want to have a small meal, 400 calories, right before, about 30 to 60 minutes before you work out. And preferably, you eat it at the same time, and it's a meal that has protein and carbs. And so what would that look like? Well, that is eggs and oatmeal, maybe 2 eggs, 3 eggs, and a half cup of oatmeal. That's Greek yogurt that's having with some granola and a banana. That's maybe some peanut butter plus a banana plus a power bar. And this is my preferred one, the BPA and Go bar. So you just want to make sure that you're getting in a small meal, not too big, not too little, that has carbs, that it has protein, so you're properly fueled for your long runs. And then on the run itself, well, every 30 to 45 minutes, you want to have gels to get some carbs into you. And then in some situations, if you really want, you can have a small snack, right? A power bar, the BPN bar is great. One has about 200 calories. And you can have something small. I mean, I've worked with clients who have cut up bananas and oranges and just had it in their pockets. But preferably like a bar of some sort, a protein bar, a power bar. I think that's what I've done. I feel like that's kind of a better way to go. But if that's only if needed, if you need a small snack. But if you fuel properly by making sure the day before that you're carb loading, you're eating enough protein and carbs throughout the day. The morning of, let's say you are doing your long run in the morning, that you have a small meal, 400 calories, then more often than not, you're not going to need any small snack, and you just need the gels. So it's important that you fuel properly for your long runs. Because like I said, if not, well, what's going to happen? You're going to have low energy. You're not going to perform as well. Your time's not going to be as good. It's going to be a bad run. And ultimately, if you don't train well, then how do you think you're going to do on your marathon? So I wanted to make this quick training just to explain how important it is to fuel for your long runs, and just kind of reiterate, making sure that you have a small meal about 30 to 60 minutes beforehand. And that's really all you have to do.